So, Larry, why don't you give us a background of how you got started in the finishing industry? I know it goes back a long way and even in a different country. Go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, it started around, I was around 17 years old, and I moved to Rome from a little town outside Rome, and I couldn't go to school. I can't go to college because of no money, and so I got involved with this gentleman. He was started a business in a foundry. So I got involved with him, and next thing I know, we had a pretty good-sized company, around 30 people. And we used to do mechanical casting, sand casting, and artistic, 50%, 50-50. So that's where I started with the metal. In other words, I got familiar with, we used to melt bronze, alumina, gold, silver, and plus we used to do a lot of projects for different sculpture all over the world, wax loss process. In 1966, my father came looking for me because he was an American. He moved in the state over here when I was probably 4 years old or so. And he asked me if I want to move to the United States. I had some reservation at the time because I was making a lot of money. I was running a company at a very early age. I was living in Rome, but I always want to get to know my father. So I put all of that aside, and I got married, and I came to the state. When I came over here, and they was trying to find a job for me, it was a language barrier, it's a new wife, and we really can't communicate that well. So anyway, they arranged for an interview to this small shop, was doing some brass work and repair. And he said, why don't you all call Alexandria? It's a new company, very few people. And I think the owner, they might speak Italian. Why don't you call them? So my stepmom called, and they say, well, we're interested to talk to him. So they came to my father's house and interviewed me.
Oh, wow.
Next thing I know, one of the original owners, which he became probably my mentor, Tony Fascioli, he was a lawyer, and he used to pick me up and take me home for about a month, and then I had to start to ride the bus. So anyway, they hired me as a silversmith because in base what I told them, my background, and I was pretty good with my hand, a little bit artistic, and, metal, I can saw, I can polish, I can do a lot of stuff. So the company at the time, that's in 1966. Alexandria really started in 1962 in a little jewelry store, and then they moved to this bay, 5,000 square foot bay, maybe 5-6 miles down the street. So anyway, I went there, and they had a problem, 5 or 6 people, including the owners. And the only thing they was doing at that time was a little bit of silver, a little bit of zinc, a little bit of nickel, a little bit of chrome. They had a little polish room and whatever. And they had they used to do quite a little bit of decorative finish, fix and silverware, for catering company and so I start fixing some those items, and but it was enough work to keep me. So 2 or 3 hours be finished, I go down the shop with some of the guys, and I knew about metal, so I start to help them. I start to do some plating and so on. So next thing I know, Tony started to see that I could understand a lot of stuff in terms of metal, and he started to work with me. Tony was a very intelligent person. He was really well known in American Electroplating Society, and so we make a team. He the one interpret things in the right language, and I use my hand and my knowledge. And we start slowly. We start to get involved more and more with things. Next thing I know, we bought a company in D.C. used to call Art Metal from a gentleman that in Electroplating Society, he also was really well known. Art appeared. I don't know if you ever heard it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we bought this company. I got transferred there. And we retained Art as a consultant. So when I went down to Art Metal, they was really advanced in our industry. They was do all kind of finish. And so it was like heaven for me because I like challenge, I like learn. So over there, I ended up learning all kind of stuff. So, it was like unbelievable. We started, we started to do plating, aluminum, die cast, We had a black nickel, gold, silver, chrome. We had all kind of. And Arthur was very, very knowledgeable. He was also a really good mentor to me because he saw my skill. I can engineer stuff and so on. Anyway, then we closed that company. We moved back to Alexandria. We got another bay, and then we started to do project. Tony started getting into, he will say, what do you think? We started getting into aerospace. And I remember the first aerospace job we ever did was for Ball Brothers in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty challenging because, one of the items was pretty, a sphere, pretty large, and it had 3 or 4 different finish on, and that was a lot of challenge. Somebody had to be polished, which I knew how to polish and all that. Was to get anodized, was to get nickel, was to get gold, chemical film. It was very complicated. And we were pretty successful, for the first time. So we kept Tony kept saying, well, how do you feel we can start to, and we start to get more and more involved. Also, we got involved with the PC board. We bought a small company, PC board operation. And so I got involved with that. And that was a challenge in those days. The fingers, the rhodium was the number one thing, more than the gold. And I remember one time we had some really big issues about the rhodium and the nickel. And I'm not going to mention the chemical company that we used to deal with, but they could not solve the problem. So me and Tony kept go there on the weekend and say, hey, we need to figure it out. That was a big contract, was part of defense. So short story, one Sunday, I come up with a way of finding what it was wrong with. Mm-hmm. And I remember Tony got so pissed, and he called somebody from that company on the weekend. And he told him, I never forgot these words. He said, it took a little guy from Italy to solve the goddamn problem that you guys can solve. It was the funniest thing.
Well, it sounds like it was a lot of on-the-job training for you, right? I mean, you learned on the job by doing it, right?
Yeah.
Just doing it, and you had great mentors too. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then we started growing more in the metal finish, and we had to decide. We had to make a choice: do we grow with the PC board, or we grow with the metal finish? So we decided to grow with the metal finish. We sold the PC board operation to a friend of mine. So anyway, and then in the next project we started to get involved was we did on those days they used to call it the early warning system for Bendix communication. Mm-hmm. And we had gold plate, all of the components that go inside this missile, made out of aluminum chassis and, all kind of stuff. In those days, the electrolysis nickel really was kind of not really too well known. Had to be copper and then nickel and gold. And that was a big challenge, and we were very successful doing that. So we kept growing and getting more and more into, let's go after engineering job. That's what I like to do. As of right now, that's what I'm doing pretty much every day, and I like to teach people. That's really what. So from that point on, we got involved more and more with different projects. And then we bought another company up in Hagerstown, Maryland, and we set up a big line to process the mandrel for the Titan missile. Oh, wow. For Hercules. So we did all the mandrels, and we were very successful in that. I set up that line, we ran the project. I went to visit them. We were invited up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I mean, it was a lot of challenge in those days, and so. Right. And then, unfortunately, Tony passed away, and at the same time, we will start to look for a land to build in a company. We bought this land right before he died, and then we, the other two partners left. We started to build this company, and we kept to get involved with special project. So at one time, I run this company, run the one in Hagerstown, plus was another company that we used to involve with the silk screen and those kind of stuff. I used to travel probably, I would say, sometime 180 miles a day to go all the 3 company. But it was good because I would gain knowledge in so many different areas. It really helped me,
Yeah.
So
go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
And so then we was going to build also another plant right next to this, because my vision was I want to have created two companies. One that you process pretty much what the industry asks, commercial stuff, and one strictly for aerospace, defense, space, and then things really we start to hold on. Then we got involved with the project with Honeywell Aerospace in Arizona, and we did a big project when first to the space station. A lot of gold plated with some really complicated item. In fact, we had one of their QC station around our company, and we were very successful. In fact, it was so. I'll tell you a little funny story. So they invite us to visit them, in Phoenix at their plant. When I got there, the program manager and everybody, we go down the assembly line, and everybody thank us. I can figure out what's. So finally, they say, Larry, we've been trying to get this stuff off the ground for the last couple of years. Everything we was trying to get done, we can assemble it's reject. And I joke around. I said, "Yeah, I wish I knew that. I would have charged you 3 times as much."
True. Yes.
It was funny, But we spent almost a week up there, and so that was a very successful project with them. Right. And so we kept get involved in the project, how they come along. At the same time, we really started to grow into anodizing, hard coating and masking. We are very, very good on do jobs where it requires probably 3 or 4 different finish,
Oh,
and
okay.
And that's really our niche. That's what we do. I mean, especially later in the last. Then we got involved. We redid all the casing for the United States. Bill of Rights, the Constitution.
Very famous documents. You were called.
That's right. We redid all the gold plate on the frame and the anodized. So that was also a very successful project for us.
Was that tough to engineer, or was it any special requirements for that?
Yeah, it was pretty tough to engineer because of the size and the configuration and all of that. Then we got involved with the monument. When they redid the monument in D.C., we did all of the lightning rod that they hang on the top, all come down on, we had a strip and a regold plate.
Okay.
So we got involved with that. So we do so many different type of project that, we were the original people work on the Stinger missile when the first was developed, because the company was not too far from us. So we did all of the nickel plate in those days for the Stinger missile. Right. So it's been, project one after another one. We one that we did it not too long ago for NASA. It's called the item that we did. We had to put like 5 mils gold inside. Called the anodizers, and everything had to be uniform. So I had engineered that one. We were very successful on doing that one. Right. But I just completed a project a couple of weeks ago on gold plate on titanium, some large piece for space. I do a lot of, I come up with, I've been very successful work with titanium on plating.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. That's
So
it sounds like you like to really go after challenges, right?
Challenge. Yeah.
The toughest,
for me, have to be challenge. We do magnesium special, some project for space for magnesium. Albumet, we go after stuff that we are kind of not doing things nobody else want to fool with. That's basic. Right. That's our motto. It will do it. And I think we have pretty good success rate.
Right. And let's be clear, you're still working, right? You're still in there, dabbling around with everything, correct? I mean,
I work every day. I work on the line with people. I help engineer. I decide how we run a project, how we're going to set them up, with the coding the jobs. I don't set them from the computer. I hate the computers, actually. I know what my strengths are. I use my knowledge and I use my skill. And so the company has been pretty successful. I mean, last year we had a tremendous successful year. It looked like, we're on the same path to this year so far. I mean, we are so busy. It's kind of amazing.
That's great. Yeah. I know early on you got involved really with the finishing association, right? And you were actually. Tell us about that. How'd you get involved in that?
Well, that was Tony and Art at the beginning. Tony and Art, and I really love that. My memories about that, and then the Electroplating Society, especially in the area where I am, everything kind of end, and I was a little disappointed. So I really didn't. But one of the things that since you touched the subject, it's really important to me for the future. When we used to go to meeting to American Electroplating Society, one of the years I think I ran as they elected me as president of the area over here. And I don't know, you remember Mr. Masia, Joseph Masia?
Oh, yes. Right.
Okay. He was a really good friend. Actually, also, he was one of my mentors. In fact, he enrolled me in Italian magazine 40 years ago. I still get it. So,
right.
Anyway, I remember saying one of the meeting that they asked me what my thought was, and and I always say that there's something missing in this country when it comes to our industry, and they ask why you say that, and I said because I think what do we do is very, very important, but we don't get a lot of recognition. So I they said, well, would you like to elaborate? I said, I'll be happy to. I said, well, think about it when you get up in the morning. You make coffee, but if you tear apart of that coffee pot, electric, you're going to find some little contact, some little switch. It has some kind of coding. Did you ever thought about it when you get an airplane? You think about how this darn thing fly. I mean, it's got to have some stuff there that has been coding. And I said, what about space? What about missiles? What about
medical parts? Yeah.
The medical. In fact, you mentioned medical. I'll tell you a little story. I went to get an MRI a few years back, and when they put you through the, and the thing started to spin and make a noise. So it was that in the technician, I started to laugh because I was listening, and they said, what's wrong, sir? I said, I wonder for those 3 copper ring, the plate is correct, the silver plate. And they look at me like I was an idiot. He said, what are you talking about? I said, don't you guys know what's inside that spins around? It's a copper ring. I said, I even applied some of those, which I did. I said, I just want to make sure whoever did a good job. They couldn't get over it.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you said, you've been benefit of having some really good mentors over the year, like you said, over the years, people that you've really listened to and learned. You've learned from all of them, right? I mean,
yes, I learned from all of those people, but then I try and use my own creativity. I like creative things. I like, if we have a problem, I like to solve the problem. I enjoy solving problems because electroplating or anodizing, metal finish, in some cases, sometimes it's like science, it's art, it's a lot of things combined together. So that's, with the people that I work with, I get such a satisfaction if we're having a problem, then I go on the line and work with them and say, okay, let's go try this. And we're always successful. We resolve the problem, and it makes them, they want to do more. Unfortunately, my concern is that I'm seeing less and less the younger generation be involved with this type of work. Okay. And I'm, as an individual, as an American, have a family, have grandkids, what's going to happen in one day? This is uh, I think that I'm hoping that maybe whoever is still a little bit young in this field, that they'll be able to create an atmosphere or even but I believe that we kind of been underestimate all the things we have done for the last 50, 60 years in the field. And it's disappointing me. I love to see something happen in the future. Number one, the government maybe should work more with the industry. In other words, understand better, okay, hey, what those people do, it's vital. For a lot of reasons, defense, for a lot of things. And I believe that you need to work together, the industry, the government, the agency, whatever. Because when you work together, you achieve all kind of stuff. And everybody will benefit. It's always been my stronger belief that you need to work together. And if you do that, it's amazing. And when you do that and you're successful, you also allowed young people, young engineer, whatever, hey, this is pretty good field I want to get into, because it's important, And
I was gonna say, it seems like you have enjoyed the challenges, but it's been fun for you, right? You've enjoyed. It seems like you really enjoyed this job.
Yes, because it's been rewarded for me because I know when I look at myself, come from another country, couldn't speak the language, and when I be able to think and say, hey, I work on this part. So this part it's up in space. I work with my own hand. Or I'll be able to say this part's in the missile or it's on aircraft. We do some aircraft parts also. For me, I take a lot of pride. I'm an American now. So it's important that whatever I'll be able to give my knowledge or my skill, I take a lot of pride for that. It's very important, because this finishing, this business, it is very important for the future, and it need to be preserved and need to create some kind of pay more attention. Now, also, I want to say this, I'm not into politics, but I also believe that based in the past, I would talk with some people. You have a lot of good people to understand what we do on both sides, both parties. And I hope that more and more will feel that way, that this industry get look at a little bit, get more support, and preserve the knowledge, the skill. Otherwise, what are we going to do one day? We're just going to say, hey, I need this part, so I got to get them from China or some other country. That's crazy. Some of that we do, we got to stay here, this skill, this knowledge, but this industry, you asking me, it's been good for me. I work very, very hard. I used to come to work sometime Saturday and Sundays, when it's quiet, special project, you can focus, and then you come back a Monday, you got to pretty much figure out what's is wrong, what's is right. And I try to surround myself with smart people, good people, and I think I did a pretty good job on that. We have a really good crew. Usually when the people come here, they never leave. Everybody works here. Mm-hmm. It's been here forever. Only later in the last probably 4 or 5 years, we have hired a lot of new people because a lot of people retired and whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but overall, I enjoy. It's stressful time, but I enjoy come to work as long as I'm healthy. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy being successful with the project, custom. That's really what I love about this job.